everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Reese, the Resilient PA, and today this is a long overdue video, okay? Like I get asked this question all the time in my DMs. I get asked this question all the time by other colleagues I know, like we're friends in other states, that we connect, and then I might, encourage them to go into psychiatry, substance abuse, and their number one question is, well, what books do I need? What resources do you use? Child, we're going to answer everything today in this video. So first of all, if you're new here, hey, welcome to Gang Gang. Please make sure that you subscribe, hit the bell notification so you can be caught up with all of my uploads, and comment down below if there's a particular subject or something that you might have a question about that you want me to cover in a near future video. Like I said, this one is way overdue, and I kept stalling because I was like, I'm gonna remember to bring my books home from my office so that I can have it in person. Didn't happen. So I instead am just going to link each book down below in the description box in order, and hopefully that will help you. Just click on the links. I'm going to go in order. So what resources do you use? I'm going to start with websites first. So how many of you guys have heard of Hippocrates? If you've been in medicine for any amount of time, I hope that you have heard of Hippocrates. I did not pay for it. I used the free version. I set up an Hippocrates account online. And if I ever want to check, like, how old do you have to be on this drug? What's the adverse reactions? And I don't want to go grab my stalls, which I'm going to bring up in the book section later on, then it's just quicker for me to open up a tab. But most of the time when I come in the morning, I already set myself up for success. So I have my EMR in one tab, I have Hippocrates in another tab, I have the Texas PMP or whatever state you're in, PMP up on another tab, and that's how I start my workday, first of all. So like I said, like in psychiatry, depending on what drug you're prescribing, like Vraylar, that is a newer medication for the whole spectrum of bipolar disorder. Don't matter if you're mixed, manic, or depressed, that gets it all. But you got to be 18 to be on that wonderful drug. There's another one called Lamictal. Lamictal is the seizure medicine, but it's also a mood stabilizer. It works great in people that suffers from bipolar depression, and you have to be 2 to be on that. So it varies, of course, with any medication. You just need to learn your ages, or you can just always double check before you open your mouth and say something to the patient on Hippocrates online. Wonderful, wonderful resource to have. My next website would be Medscape Interaction Checker. I use this, especially when I first started. One of my colleagues, they were like, hey, this is what I use. They had the app, but Apple users, our storage goes real quick. So I didn't want to download any apps. If, this is a kind of a sit down job, psychiatry, outpatient, I'm at the computer all the time. And I have a desktop, but I also have my laptop. So it's easy for me just to type Medscape Interactions and pull that up as another tab. Especially if you're just starting, you always want it, and I always find it important to always get all medications that they're taking, don't matter if they're psychiatry drugs or not, because there's a couple of psychiatric drugs that interact mostly like with every drug, like MAOIs, that's one, that interacts with almost just about everything. So you want to make sure, like, if they're on a statin, document that. If they're on gabapentin from their pain management, document that. If they're taking blood pressure medicine, document that. And that's very important to know, because I have an algorithm for sleep medications. And if y'all want me to go over my algorithms, please comment down below, because I will do that for you. But like one of my, before I get into the heavy duty psych sleep drugs, Like I might go melatonin, another medicine, and then clonidine. Well, if they're on like losartan HCTZ mix combination and they're on a beta blocker and I come in with clonidine, which is an alpha 2 agonist, and bottom their blood pressure out, that's not going to be good for you or the patient. And you can always say you didn't know, but the truth is you didn't ask. So don't get caught up in this game. Don't let that be you, okay? So like I said, if you want me to go through my algorithms with you that I have in my head that kind of help me keep things straight and you're just beginning in psych, you need to learn your drug classes. You need to see what they do for each one of your patients long enough for you to get down your own habits. So like I said, if you want me to do a video on any of my algorithms, comment down below and we'll have a chat. We'll have a video. We'll do it. We'll get it done. Next, so Medscape Interaction Checker is awesome. You can type in any, like their whole regimen and then add in the medicine that you're thinking of adding to their regimen to make sure that it doesn't interact severe interactions with any other medications, okay? Moving on. So Medscape Interaction Checker, you want to use that. Next is go ahead and create an account with your state's PMP. I say this because you always want to know if they're on any controlled substances. Please do not be naive. Psychiatry overlaps with substance abuse to the T. It don't matter if they abuse THC, marijuana, cannabis, whatever you want to call it, Delta 8, Delta 10, kratom, blah, blah, blah. And people don't know we can actually drug test for kratom, so it don't pop up on the, the standard old-timey UDS cup, but there's special tests we can order to see that you are abusing kratom. Teehee. Anyway, so you just want to make sure that if they're on hydrocodone, you know that. They're getting Xanax from blah, 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 you know that. Because if they're in your office today asking you for Klonopin and they just picked up a Xanax script like 2 days ago, red flag, red flag, red flag. And it's cool with the PMP because they actually show who prescribed it, where their office is, what the name of their office is, their pharmacy they picked it up from, whether insurance paid or not. Like, it's a tool. It's a tool. And just be cautious. Please be cautious. So create an account with the Texas PMP. You check that on every single patient. I don't care if your office does it or not. It's just good practice for you and the CYA for you, because you rather know something than to not know it. Too much information is never a bad thing. Yeah, moving on. So the books, which you've all been waiting for. Of course, when you go into psychiatry, you need the DSM-5. That is the Holy Grail. That's the Bible of psychiatry that has every single diagnosis there is that they have found and rendered as an applicable diagnosis with the ICD-10 code, the criteria that they need to meet. How many times a week, like DMDD, I think it's more than or equal to 3 outbursts a week, or binge eating disorder, or any of those, and how long it has to be going on for. Kind of reminds you of school, right? Yeah, you got to memorize those. And the most common ones that I see, of course, in kids is like ADHD, ODD, DMDD. But it's very important to pay attention to family history, because if you know they have a history of mood disorders in their family and they're showing signs of mood disorders over here, and you put them on something with serotonin, like, just don't get caught in the crossfires. Please make sure you do CMEs. Please make sure you're up to date on, evidence-based medicine. When it comes to stuff, new medications are being made every day. We got, and I might butcher this, but Captilila, whatever. It's a new antipsychotic, and it comes in like 1 dose, and it's once a day. And they said that's supposed to be prescribed for schizophrenia, but now they just got the indication for bipolar disorder too. So you want to stay up to date on your medications, what it's used for. Drug reps are wonderful for this, but you need to go more in depth and understand, like, how does it differ from other antipsychotics, because you do know that each antipsychotic is just a twinge or a tad or just a mere different than the other ones. And so they do more than just affect dopamine and all this other stuff. There's other receptors involved, and I'm not saying that you have to be a chemist and know, like a scientist, but it's just good knowledge to know. Of course, the patient may or may not know what you're talking about, depending on their profession, because I do get, people who work in the medical field, people who are from different walks of lives, and they may understand that lingo, but just make sure you can communicate your point without using so much, not just medical jargon, but just scientific. Like, we get down into this receptor, that receptor. And then again, your patient may want to know that. You have to develop your own style. Okay. Next. So after DSM-5, I have this book. It's not a holy grail. Well, first, let me just go ahead. Stalls. Stalls is your other second Bible. It has every medication in it, depending on when it was manufactured or published, because of course Captalia wouldn't be in there because it wasn't out when the book was published. But that's what I said, you have to stay on top of the medications that are coming out. And if a new version of Stalls come out, of course I'm gonna buy it because it's going to be updated. But Stalls give you the generic name of the medicine, they're in order from A to Z. It tells you if you have to be tapered off the medicine. It tells you what you can augment the medicine or use adjunct medications with, what's safe, what's not safe, why it's not safe. Can kids take this medicine? Can pregnant women take this medicine? Again, how sedative is it? All the things. That medicine, that book, is wonderful to have, and it has never steered me wrong. So, Stalls, I love you. It's wonderful. Moving on. So the next book that I have that I was actually going to mention before Stalls was First Aid Psychiatry. I used this book when I was on rotations, and it's like me and you shall never part. Like this book, if you want a nice synopsis of psychiatry, substance abuse, sleep, wake disorders, all the things, pedophilia, like all the things, you need this book. It's nice. I wrote all in it when I was in PA school. Never thought after I graduated I would use that book again, but I actually used that book to study for my CAQ. And I like that book because it doesn't give you so much. It sticks to the nit-grit. And it's like anxiety disorders, bam. Mood disorders, bam. Psychotic disorders, bam. Substance abuse disorders, intoxication, withdrawal. How long does it take to get out your system? All the things, and it's nice and neat. And the book is only but wee thin. Like, it's not this big, thick book, which we're used to, like Harrison's and Bates and all this stuff. This book is thin, and it gives you just what you need, no more, no less. And if you don't feel like looking things up in the DSM-5, they use the DSM-5 to create the book. So you can always use either or as a reference. And I like just having that option to go in between, So that's an optional book, but it's wonderful for me. And then I would definitely say the last book that you can get is the Synopsis of Psychiatry. Now that book is a thick book. It has MRIs in it. It goes into back when the disorder was founded and who it's named after and all these things. I would definitely say that's a good reference book. So if the little thin book can't get you here and the DSM-5 don't have enough information, that book talks about everything psychiatry. I brought the latest version. It's a red book. I'll link that down below, of course. And it's wonderful to have, especially if you know you're going to be in psychiatry for a while. It's a good investment. But if you know, like, hey, I'm just going to be here for a couple of years and then I'm going to switch to women's health, or I'm going to switch back to family medicine, or I'm going to do this. Like, if you're just curious to do psych and you know, like, it's not your first love and you're just trying it out just to see what it's about, I wouldn't buy that book because it's not actually a book that you need to do your job. And second of all, if you're a psychiatrist, which is your SP that you're under, 9 times out of 10, like my psychiatrist and the one before this had in their office bookcases of all their books. So they probably have that book and you can always borrow it, but I'm trying to save y'all some money. So like, you know, there's evidence-based medicine, there's Medline, there's PubMed, there's UpToDate, there's your SP. There's so many other things that you can use. If you're only staying in psych, or if you don't even know if you want to stay in psych and this is just trial and error, you're just switching specialties, you think it's cool, you might want to try it out, I wouldn't buy that book yet. And I didn't even buy this book until my 3rd year. So, but it's up to you. If you want to buy the book, cool. You can always sell it afterwards. I mean, I'm trying to give y'all options, but that's my 2 cents. So, yeah, other than that, I really don't use anything else. Like I said, I use my algorithms, but I also use my gut. So if I'm sitting in front of a patient and I'm not real sure, body language is off, they're unkempt, I check their PMP, it's a hot mess, like, use your own judgment. You do not want to be sitting in front of a medical board trying to, you know, explain why you did this, this, and this, and not check this, this, and this. Like, cover your behind. CYA. But yeah, so psychiatry is super duper fun. Substance abuse is super duper fun. Since I've gotten to Texas, I do not know any places that do substance abuse right now. And it's even rarer to find any places that do adolescent substance abuse, because that's all my weed smokers and all my vapors that don't think anything could ever happen to them and they're invincible. So if you guys have any resources, if you're a psychiatrist watching this in Texas, if you're like, if you know of any places your loved one went to or your brother goes to or whatever, comment down below. You don't even have to put all that information out there. You'll just be like, hey, this is a great place to refer your patients for substance abuse. Hey, this is an option. Again, I am in the DFW area, more so North Dallas. So if you got any places that you've heard of, or if you have a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend that you know of that can help me out, please, because I'm not leaving Texas, so it's great for me to have a list of resources. Of course, there's always Google, but it's always better if you know somebody who actually went there so they can give you, like, it's a good place. Y'all know what I'm looking for. I don't have to explain that, because even I have been a patient, of course. So you know what you're looking for as a patient, and if I wouldn't go there, then I probably wouldn't want to send my patient there, and that's important. I would never do anything to put them in harm's way, whether they're in my care or not. Like, if I'm recommending a place, it has to be top-notch, because my patients are top-notch. So anyway, guys, that concludes this video. My next video should definitely be one that's been highly anticipated too, and that is, is being a PA in psychiatry going to phase out? I had one person ask me that. I was like, what? They were like, because it's all NP dominated. Do you think the NPs are taking over? And I'm just like, again, what? So please stay tuned. Stay tuned. I have a lot to say on that. No disrespect to my colleagues. It's like my cousins across the river over there on the other side. But if you don't, like, if you haven't done your research and you want to be a PA, or you're about to graduate from PA school and you ask me that question, we need to talk. So I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, guys.